Hidden among the cold Siberian mountains, far from prying eyes, was the clothed city of Arzamas-15, where the USSR developed weapons-grade plutonium. Under strict secrecy, scientists worked tirelessly for military power, risking their lives. The place, unknown even to the party elite, turned into hell on earth. Deep underground, a drilling rig searched for the key to new types of destruction. Suddenly, radiation levels spiked, foreshadowing catastrophe. Radiation burst out, filling the streets of Arzamas-15 with a green mist. The city, engulfed in radioactive smoke, fell into deadly silence. The residents began to change. Their bodies couldn't handle the dose. Their eyes glowed like those of nocturnal predators. Panic gripped Arzamas-15, but there was no way out. The sirens wailed, but no help came. Hands trembled, clenched into fists, but resistance was futile. Radiation burst in on us while past light flickered. Bright for a moment, ceased completely, collapsed on themselves and failed to indulgence finally, but in plain daylight, cold wouldn't of Oz. Boom. The first infected resident attacked his colleagues without a shred of remorse. The last light went out, leaving the city in darkness, the square filled with creatures thirsty for blood. The KGB discussed next steps. There was no time for compassion. Documents marked liquidation spoke for themselves. Armed patrols blocked the roads, leaving the residents to their fate. The order was clear. No one must survive. One scientist hid, hoping to escape, but the city was sealed. Desperate residents gathered at the gates, but there was no hope. The last steel barrier was set up, leaving them in darkness. Arzamas-15 became a trap from which there was no escape. The entire city of Arzamas-15 sank into an ominous silence. The abandoned laboratories remained silent witnesses to the disaster. Torn documents held secrets hidden from the world. Outside the city, a blockade began. No one was to know the truth. The last survivors tried to leave the city, but the path was cut off. Their cries dissolved into the hollow silence. The infected wandered the empty streets, forever trapped in the city. The radioactive mist hovered over the ruins, consuming everything alive. The victims of the experiments became unwitting witnesses to their own end. On the outskirts of the city, the last echoes of the sirens could be heard. A lone survivor looked at the grim ruins, realizing the full scale of the catastrophe. Terror was reflected in his eyes, but he was powerless to change anything. The smoke continued to swirl, dragging Arzamas-15 into eternal oblivion. Everything sank into endless silence and darkness. Slowly settling radioactive dust blanketed the city. Not a single living soul remained in these abandoned ruins. The lone surviving scientist wandered through the catacombs beneath the atomic plant, trying to find a way out. Instead of salvation, he came upon a fissure from which deadly radiation was seeping. This fissure was the source of the contamination that doomed the entire city. The radioactive exposure left him no chance. His body began to change. The scientist, the last witness to the project, became part of the experiment. The New Man Project was originally designed to create superhumans, but the underground catastrophe led to uncontrollable mutations among the residents. Those who remained in Arzamas-15 could no longer leave its borders. Arzamas-15 became an open-air laboratory for studying the consequences. All information about what happened was strictly classified. KGB report: the New Man Project had failed. All residents of Arzamas-15 were lost.